Get started. Alrighty, attention prayer family. A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and of this I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. And I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess of my faults. So please grant me protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals but thee. O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst forever. Ameen.
Ameen, ameen, ameen. In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that Allah intervened in our affairs and a divine person of Master Fard Muhammad, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I like to greet us all in the greeting words of peace and perpetual paradise. We say in the Arabic language, which simply means peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you, thank you kindly. Welcome, welcome, welcome to your Master Call Thursday edition. We have a beautiful class laid out for us with our beloved brother Sultan Muhammad. Brother Javon, do you have the bio?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Praise to Allah.
Alrighty, assalamu alaikum, family.
Alaikum salam.
Our dear brother Sultan Muhammad, who is a longtime friend, companion, soldier in the Nation of Islam, who in 1981, month of March, he was in Los Angeles under Brother Khalid, and they were actually reared together. And when I say Brother Khalid, I mean Khalid Muhammad. May Allah be pleased. They were reared together in their teenage life and went to college together. Then our brother Sultan moved to Phoenix and served under Brother Jabril from December of 1986 to November of 1988. Then went to Chicago to work on the new headquarters, Mos Mariam, and then ended up on the security team and research team, and also is now the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's personal assistant. So that is a brief overview. I'm sure we could continue to go on, but just a brief introduction of our dear brother, who is a beautiful brother and is a pioneer in our mighty nation, who we stand on the shoulders of. So without further from myself, Brother Sultan Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but He. I bear witness that man, that human being, came 9,000 miles, who was prophesied to come from the east to the west, far north country where we are today. And this loving human being, who promised to come from the days of Abraham, it was promised that he would come. And when he would come to a people who had been treated worse than any people ever in the history of the world. We here in America, now some 460 plus years, out of the hatred of a mentality that hates God, This is what we have been standing against. That man, Master Fard Muhammad, a human being, man, he went to Hamtramck, Detroit, and this man's wife had met a man who was teaching something. And so she came to him and told her husband about this man and said that he should hear him.
Yes, sir.
His name was Elijah Poole. His father was a preacher, and he wanted to preach. He did a little drinking too. But he said one day he would teach something different than what his father taught. And that man who had turned, like most of us at that time, to drinking, we didn't have all the other stuff yet. And the enemy had not given us all the other stuff yet because the enemy had not developed the other stuff yet. But the enemy has always been working on developing that which would prevent us from resurrecting, rising again. So this man finds him, he goes to hear this man, Elijah Poole. And when he hears the man, at the end of the talk, he goes up to the man and he says to him that, I know who you are. You are the one that was promised to come. Now that man, in all of his power, who would later teach him all the measurements of the earth, which he would eventually teach to us. Because when you got a house, you need to know the measurements of your house. You need to know what's in your house. When you choose a house that you can live in, or the best that you can live in, but you got ideas for your house. But you can't add anything to your house without knowledge of what's already in the house and how much room you have to work with. This man, one day, this man, Elijah Poole, said that he made me all up into himself. He's speaking of Almighty God Allah, whom both Bible and Quran teaches is a man. But we never knew how to read either one because our enemy had taught us both books. Both. Oh. So when he makes this man all up into himself, that man, Master Fard Muhammad, is the one who taught him that you want for your brother what you want for yourself. Is that right? Well, if he wants for his brother what he wants for himself, he is Almighty God, the greatest of all. He is Master Fard Muhammad. Then if he teaches it, he's not lying. If he teaches you want for your brother, you want for yourself, then he showed that to us. And this man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that he made into himself. That means the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not only still alive.
Go ahead, sir.
He has power.
Yes, sir.
That only Master Fard Muhammad has more. So I have to say to you that we have to get accustomed to talking about God, looking at God, because he also said when you're looking at the black man, you're looking at God.
Yes, sir.
That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Then Moses at a certain point, seventh chapter, first verse, God makes Moses a God over Pharaoh. Then he makes Aaron his prophet. But only God has prophets.
Come on.
Only God sends prophets. What does your Bible tell you right there? That one did and made with the one up under him, and then became Aaron becomes his prophet. Then if you go down the road in that book, you'll find that Moses is giving Aaron directions, and they're in two different places. I think something like what's happening right now with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Then the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the heart of God, growing, growing, growing. He says, when you're looking at the black woman, you're looking at God. After he said, when you're looking at the woman, you're looking at God also. Because you have to grow us up. First, he took the little baby me and then says to me, you're God. I'm already catching it, so I have to grow a little bit before I can accept. You mean my wife is God too? Anissa is God? Ooh. What a beautiful teaching. What a beautiful expression of love. This is what we prayed for. We, being the history of ourselves, the suffering of ourselves, prayed for it, and then God answered it. And as he said in the scripture, let me go down and see if it's all of what I heard. So he came, people. But just like the people he came for, we don't believe God would come for me. I ain't nothing. Well, if that's what you're thinking, people, that makes you that people that he was talking about. Because they didn't think nothing of themselves. Because they had been made to think nothing of themselves. So it doesn't bother me to find out you don't think anything of yourself. I'm still going to bow when I meet you. And I'm going to try to give you what I've been taught. And I'm going to give it to you humbly because I don't know who you are. There are people that I've fished. I'm up under them. That's a beautiful thing. And not to be envious. I know I can't do it by myself. The only one that can do it by himself is Master Fard Muhammad. Now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad can do it by himself. Make a whole new world. So if I can't do it by myself, don't I need your help? Don't we need each other's help? We can't do it by ourselves. So we should be running to our people. And we are running to you, who are not here yet. Why are we after you? We're after you because we know that you as God and I as God, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, because I always say that we are all Allah. I didn't say you were the Most High God, but the scripture does use those comparatives. What do you need? What do you have to say? God Almighty. And sometimes you just say God. Most High. And sometimes it's just the High. Because there are different levels of knowledge and wisdom and understanding and power. All that can't be the same person. And then we have some growing to do also. So in the name of Master Fard Muhammad, a human being, a man, in the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, with a lot more power, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Oh, man, what Messiah he is. But we all have more growth coming, all of us, because power is continually growing. And if I can submit to those that I bow to when I meet them, then I can be serviced by the God of them, because when we pray, God's going to send one of us to answer each other's prayer. So I'm looking at God, and I'm so grateful. And they're beautiful and handsome too. They're easy to look at. But when we begin to measure the attributes of God, now we're into the true measure of our value. So I called the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan last week for something. And guess what that man said?
What did he say, sir?
He said, brother, how may I serve you? Is that the way we answer each other when we get a call? Are we anxious to serve each other? Brother, how can I serve you? And it's not the first time I had heard it, but this is the Messiah, the messenger of God, and growing. But he asked me, and I know he's not a liar, how may I serve you? What a wonderful example of a human being and what we should be as human beings. And in those names, I'd like to greet you in the Arabic words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Wa alaikum
Wow.
salam, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All praises due to Allah. I want the other Zoom call. So if y'all see my head going down, it's because I'm trying to get the people that go on our normal one to come to this one. So the person that's on here, if you could please go to the link on the flyer or go to the mastercall.live, that would be fantastic. Assalamu alaikum. All right, so that was absolutely beautiful, Brother Sultan. Your whole intro was so absolutely beautiful, and the staff we're going back and forth. We're like, oh, we're gonna cry, we're gonna cry, because you're just such a beautiful soul, and it's obvious that you've been around a man that's been around a man that's been around God, because your spirit is absolutely It's
And
stunning.
just before the show, I was around 3 other Muslims who helped me. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All praises to Allah. So we're gonna go into our first question. And if anybody has any questions, you can please put it in the. You can send it to Brother Jeremy, and then he will send it to us. So our first question, and I'll give a little bit of the backdrop for the people who are curious about why I'm asking this question, being that our title of today's interview is the Master Call, and we've had lots of guests, and nobody has actually chosen the title of the actual call to do. So, in my initial conversation with Brother Sultan, um, there was a subject that we were going to do, and then he said, "Well, I want to go with your idea, sister." And I said, I don't have an idea. I don't have it." And he said, "The title of the call. I want to go with that." He said, "That's a good one." I said, "Okay. Well, nobody's ever done that before, so." He said, "Oh well, I want to give it a shot." I said, "Okay." So, what when you heard that the title of this call was called the Master Call, that was something that you wanted to go with? What did that mean to you?
It comes from the first thought that came to my mind when you said it, which was Master Fard Muhammad.
That's right.
And Master Fard Muhammad is the one who is making the call. Now, I want to say the gods don't lie.
That's right.
So I wondered if Master Fard Muhammad was the first one to ever say master, because he is that one who mastered. We talk all the time about the lack of perfection. There's no perfection, there's nothing perfect. And most of us who would say that, we'll call ourselves Christians. And I say we call ourselves Christians because that's what we've been called, and that's what we were told, and that's where it comes from. Because it doesn't come from us.
That's right.
It comes from our sojourn here in slavery. So there's a Jesus in the scripture that says, "Be ye perfect,
Assalamu alaikum, family.
even as I am perfect." Well, after knowing of Master Fard Muhammad, I know this has to be a reality. Perfection is here.
Sir.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said at one point, "Well, I'm perfect enough for you." And I have to say that one day I said in a private but public meeting, when he said that, "And you're perfect enough for us." So if Master Fard Muhammad comes, listen at this man, we're drinking, smoking, whatever drugs we were doing, crazy as hell, eating bad food, didn't know what to eat, how to eat, singing songs that were very filthy in content, but we did not even realize the words and what the intention of the devil was in giving those words, or in influencing us to say those words and use those words as they do today by paying us. So as Snoop said one day, talking to the minister, he said, "We'll take them some product," and they'll say, "Well, there's not enough action in it." He said, "We know what that means. They need some more wet t-shirts. So you want to get paid, you got to rap about killing each other. You got to rap about killing each other if you want to get paid." because we have to do something about you. We know who you are. Now, this is the enemy that's up there. The very wise of them. They know exactly who we are. And there have even been those who are from those who call themselves Jews on at least 3 occasions who have said. And I remember the first, he received a silver tray with 2 silver chalices for the tray. But there was writing on the tray, and the tray said, "To the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Messiah we have been waiting for." So have they been seeing him as Messiah before we did?
Go ahead.
Are we really dead? That we really did not understand that they're looking for a man who fulfills a bill, a work? So we want to talk about this thing. Either we are the people, or we may as well bow down, submit to the devil, and let's go out with the rest of the world. Just think about this mathematically. We said we've been here for 76 trillion years. Now let's take a look at the world today, the wickedness that exists, wars, rumors of wars, eventually next maybe 1,000, I don't know if it would never even last another 1,000 years. Anybody will wipe themselves out. Could a people have existed for thousands of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, if it had been this kind of world? This kind of world wouldn't last that long. That's just a look at the mathematics of it. So we were obviously another kind of people. And then, of course, when we talk about resurrection, we're not talking about rising up for the first time. Resurrection. Surrect, you build up. Resurrection, you must fall down, got to be raised up again. That's why we're the kind of people, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said at one time, if Satan just left us alone, we go back to being ourselves. That's why he said with Jonah, Jonah's coming to see God, he got some people with him. God asked Jonah, God what? Asked, I mean, God's got a voice, whoever of that day. God, who's that you got with you, Jonah? And then as the minister made the point, God just jumps out and says, "What's up, Satan? How you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm doing what I do. I'm going to and fro, to the left, to the right, seeing whom I can devour." So it's a constant work. Prophets have been sent. They overcame all of them. Now, they can't even overcome us. The man has given us so much to work with, because Master Farad Muhammad knew who to go and get, and he knew who the people were that he could use, who had become nothing. So he said that the second hardest job is what? The second hardest job is getting us up. The first hardest job was when God made himself, created himself from nothing. Well, that's where we are today. So we are now the second hardest job. But guess what? It's already written. We're going to do the work. The question is, will Brother Sultan be there to do the work, or will Brother Sultan quit? Will he get right up to the door and quit? That's the question that each one of us have to ask ourselves. Oh my God, what was the question?
The question was, what was the significance for you when you heard the master call as the title and chose that as the subject for the title? I mean, the title
So
for
I saw this show as representative of the call of God. How could I not go with that? That's why I was so impacted, even by just the title. And you all should have heard what I heard just from the 3 people that I heard before we got started. They're the ones that got me fired up. All right, so bring it.
All praise for Allah. Yes, sir. I don't know about y'all, but man, I'm already enjoying this, and we only asked one question. We got plenty more. So before I ask the next question,
We just do too long.
for our dear brother Sultan, please send it to Brother Jeremy, and Brother Jeremy will send it to us because we want to ask all of the questions that we can. So our next question, this is in honor of our dear beloved brother, the angel Jabril Muhammad. May Allah forever be pleased with him. Can you share some of the things that you have learned from personal interactions with him? And also, what was it like being under him in Phoenix from 1986 to 1988?
Well, I'll start out by saying I was actually under him from 1982 because at that time, Brother Jabril was actually, that was the regional. And so, but I mean, in the West and Southwest, we were, Brother Jabril was just traveling all the time. And a part of that history that we learned was he, just like the minister, they had different groups in different places, but the groups didn't know anything about each other. You know, I guess it's something like baby planes, you know, and the circles that we're in when we study. I mean, I wonder if all that has something to do with each other. It's not something. But anyway, uh, when I met Brother Shapiro, it was one story I can't tell you. I really want to tell you. I really, really want to tell you. You know, I had not met anybody I thought as bad as me before I came in the nation. I had put Henry Kissinger to running with a question that I asked him in 1974 at the Organization of American States in Atlanta. Our brothers in the streets and in the media at the same time. Nixon's brother, Harding Carter, put some of the people together with Harding Carter, who was with President Carter in the 70s, you know. So, I mean, I'd done a lot of things, and I'd actually testified at a trial of the Muslims in Atlanta. There were 7 brothers who were charged with 7 counts, including murder. And I was blessed to hear 2 of them behind a pillar. You know, in Atlanta, you had these big, huge columns, you know, at the courthouse. And so I was covering the story and of the Muslims and working for the Atlanta Voice and Viewpoint News at the time as an investigative reporter. And I got back to the trial late, but as I'm running up the steps and I get to one of the pillars, I stopped because I hear 2 people. So whatever they said, they stopped me from. I stopped to listen to what they were saying. Now they didn't see me there on the other side of the pillar, but whatever they said, it was a black and a white cop who were corroborating their stories. So I stayed where I was and waited till they went inside into the courtroom. When I went inside the courtroom, I told Attorney Jocko, and CB. What was my brother's name? Was it CB King? These were the attorneys who were representing the brothers with these 49 counts. So I told them what I heard, and they said, "Will you get on the stand and say that?" Hell yeah. I said, "Yeah, I'll get on the stand and say it." So I did. And that testimony helped. I pointed them out, the two that I saw and then heard saying what they were saying. They were sitting right there on the front. I pointed them out. And eventually it helped in a complete, oh my God, I'm thinking of too many things at the same time. But they were eventually found not guilty on all 7 counts. And so that began a relationship with the Muslims in Atlanta. And so my demeanor or manner, that, the smiling and all that you see me do, that was like those brothers that I met in Atlanta. So I always remember them. They were always trying to get me to come in, and one day they invited me, this is after the trial, they invited me in, and that's where I met Brother Rahman for the first time. And I had never heard a Muslim minister. And the next thing I know, Brother Rahman, that man had I went in my pocket and gave what I had in my pocket. I'd never heard anything like that. And I had never heard anyone like that. I thought, I was the thing, when it comes to revolution. So these things lead up to, I was actually leading up to, I wanted to give you an idea of who I thought I was. Man, when I met Brother Jabril, and I started, start hearing what he was saying, I'm going to tell you all the truth. Now, don't y'all tell anybody. I was so enamored. I was so awed at what I was hearing. I really didn't know if he was human or not, whether he would even have to go to the bathroom. Now, I got to tell y'all, that's how I thought. I didn't know I was spooky. But that's what it meant to me to hear it. So I'm being blessed because he's going back and forth to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, we're going back and forth with, ministers had come out at one time, I think came out maybe 10 weeks in a row. So at any rate, I went to pick up Brother Jabril one day from the Holiday Inn in Hollywood Hills. And I'm bringing him to Crenshaw and Stocker, where we had a restaurant at the time. Not a restaurant, I'm sorry, this was a small restaurant, not the big one, but the small restaurant, which we're using as a mosque. And I'm bringing him there. He's going to speak to us. So I want to ask him a question about this literature that, was being spread in Atlanta. I'm sorry, in LA. So I asked Brother Jabril, Brother Jabril, now I'm a little question about some information. Wheel in the middle of the wheel, the making of the woman. This was some wild stuff. I couldn't get it out of my mouth. Here's another hypocrite. Now you all bringing all that stuff back. We dealt with all that before. And Brother Jabril whooped me from the Holiday Inn all the way to Crenshaw and Stockton. Then when we got there, he said, "Brother, how long have you been in the nation?" I said in my mind, because I only been in a year. But before I could say anything, you say, "Have you been in the nation 30 days?" I said, "Yes, sir." Then you should know what your Lord said and what he didn't say. And that began whole new life for me. And that's where I began to study. And I learned, I mean, Brother Jabril, man, he taught for hours about the minister all the time. He defended him with Silas Muhammad and others in such a brilliant way. And the knowledge that I was learning and seeing in the minister is from his words and what he was saying. And, you know, I know I was a know-it-all because one day he asked me a question. He'd already told me, he said, brother, you can be asked a question, it'll drive you crazy. And then one day he did it. It almost drove me crazy. And then he asked me a question, and I'm going and thinking, I said, I don't know. He said, brother, I've been trying to get you to say that for 4 years. So all of the beautiful things and this man's love for the minister. And I told the minister, maybe not recently, but maybe maybe within the last year or so, 2, the most beautiful conversation I ever heard between 2 people in my life was between the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Brother Jabril. I had never heard so much love in the way they handled each other, the way they spoke to each other. And I told him that from that day, I'd wished someday to have a conversation like that. So Brother Jabril was a very big part of my life. And when we were sat down, yes, we were sat down in Los Angeles, we were quite the contrary at times when we should have been more ordinary, maybe. I eventually decided to move to Phoenix because I loved him, I loved the minister, I loved learning, and so I did. And then September 21st, 1986 is when we started Problems in Relationships. It was in Phoenix. That lecture that the minister gave in Phoenix started, of course, the wonderful, 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 wonderful study guides of our beloved sister, Ava Muhammad. And incidentally, all the way up to that point, Brother Jabril had given us tons of study guides on the minister, scripture, Quran, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so he was a very wonderful angel, a special servant. And he had a mission that he was given by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that mission would eventually benefit us all because he would one day go after the nation fell and raise the 3rd greatest man in the universe, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So he has been a very big part of my life. I thank Allah for him. And he who helped me to see more the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Not that my sight is better than anyone else's, but I'm grateful for what I have been able to see. And I'm grateful for what I have seen God's Messiah do all over the world. And when people, as we travel in the world, you know how we do, peace, teeth, you know, we stand up. But the minister, especially in Muslim countries, the minister will speak, and we literally have to fight our way out of a place. Not because, as he said, they're trying to harm him, but they're trying to touch him. And I think my worst beating came in Mecca for me. We were at the mosque, and it was the night of the Tawheed prayer. There were 2 million Muslims there, according to the press. And we had gone, the minister wanted to go. We were staying in Jeddah. We got a bus 40 miles to Mecca. Well, then things started happening kind of strange because, you know, from Jeddah, when we got, you know, we had a caravan, we were in a bus, and the minister and a couple other cars. But when we got ready to go, the Jeddah police came to escort us. We don't know where that came from. So then we get to the cross swords. Now we're in Mecca. No idolaters, no hypocrites. But of course, the minister had people with him. Boy, this man. And when we got there was an exchange. The Jeddah police turned us over to the Meccan police. Wait a minute, what's going on? They escort us inside, and as we're standing by the wall where I said, if you turn and you look up very high, you'll see a particular palace. I think that's where they probably take the pictures from, you know. And we're out of the car, we're standing over here by the wall, and we're waiting, and now here comes what we learned was the Meccan army. There were several, maybe a couple of ranks of them, okay? But they were from the Meccan army. So now they started to escort us in so that we could do our circumambulation. And of course, I have to add now, the FOI had to help them get in because we wanted to get the minister in by that 7th circumambulation in order to be able to throw the stones, and you got to get in there to do that. So we helped them out. When that is over, the minister wants to, we want to go for the Tawheed prayer. Somebody tells Brother Tijani to follow him. So this man follows, leads, Brother Tijani follows, and of course we are following them. Then the point where we are brought to, you ever notice that when you look at pictures of the big mosque, of the Meccan mosque, that there's a big area where there's nobody standing? Okay. Well, that area, when you look up, you have, this is where the imam delivers the prayers from. And we're walking, and they take us to this area. And then we, of course, sit, getting ready for prayer. But the imam is 10 feet away. They had brought the minister up to the point where, in the place where the imam delivers the prayers from. And we go through the Tawheed prayer. And this is where the brother, I didn't know what the brother was saying. But the brother who led the prayer was very, very serious. And you could feel the truth of what he was saying. And I know that because the minister did. And the minister tried to bring him here to do our Juma for Savior's Day, but they would not allow him to come. The government, the U.S. government. And when the brother prayed, I'm telling you, man, I got to tell you this. It was a long time I eat prayer. I think that prayer lasted maybe 3 hours. Woo! But his spirit was something else. So now that's over. Okay? Tawheed prayer's over. Now, what we didn't know, I think it was the Prince of Brunei or Secretary of Brunei was up there also. What we didn't know is, and what the minister didn't like once he found out, that's kind of a VIP thing. You know, the minister don't play that. But at any rate, we're standing there, we don't know that yet. And I just have to be looking down, you know, because you're a level above everybody else that's on the floor. And of course, this is also where they run by with the bodies of those who have died, you know, during the sojourn. And I could see people looking up, you know what I mean? So they know to look up there, you know, we didn't know that. But I see them looking up, you know, and then I see somebody point, you know, and do something. And, you know, you want to, I didn't know really what was going on. But what I did notice was that behind us is a big wooden petition. And it's covering something. You didn't know what it was covering, but it was it was maybe 10 by 20 feet, but it's covering something. And all of a sudden, we're in the Meccan mosque. You know that mosque that you all see all the time? All of a sudden, we had boom, crash, all this. And they had, see, that was a way to come up from the bottom and come behind. That's why that petition was there. They tore that petition down in Al Haram Mosque. They destroyed it. And you could hear them yelling, for the Khan, for the Khan, for the Khan, for the Khan, for the Khan. See, they knew that in Mecca too. They had never seen anything like that. I don't think. No, I know they haven't.
Go ahead.
Never seen God's Messiah.
That's right.
They tore it down, yelling for the Khan. And we didn't have any security. Just us. And they're coming. But guess who it was? It was the youth. It was youth. It was the youth who did that. I guess the old folks wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Tear down something in Al Haram Mosque. And the beautiful thing that happened was, they attacked. And I'm the tallest. I'm on his back. You know how the minister does. Turned around with that smile. I said, oh, Lord, I knew what was coming. You know, the love of him. He can't help it. He turns around with that beautiful smile and does like this with his hand. Lord have mercy. I got beat. there trying to touch that hand. So Brother Musa said, Dad, we gotta get you out of here. That's how it was. And it's like when he said that, it's like the brothers from the continent that was in there, they just fell into a diamond around us. First, they were doing what everybody else is doing. And they formed a diamond around us and helped to get us out of there. I mean, look at the God, but look at what happened. Now, this is going to be remembered in later years when we attempt to do something else. So now we come back, we leave. So we got the dawn prayer. Dawn prayer was only an hour away. I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. Now with the dawn prayer, we come in, and again, somebody comes and says something to Brother Tajani. So we follow him. Guess where we were led to?
Where, sir?
King's private prayer room. So we did our Adon, our prayer, from the king's, the minister, of course, from the king's private prayer room. Now, I don't know who was behind that. I don't know who's behind it. But somebody knows something about your brother that's there. Did you hear what I said? And on this last trip that they went on, they can tell you about that trip. But our God is real.
Yes, sir.
And our God wants his people.
That's right.
So we have a lot of work to do to get his people. And all of you who may be here who are not Muslims, you know, you're Muslim. It only means one who submits to do the will of God. And you know, the minister helps to show us how crazy we are. You know, we go up there half naked. I want to thank God first, because that's who we are. Some of the gangs here, Crips, Bloods, gangster disciples, even in our madness, we can't get away from our nature, because we really are the people of God. I hope I answered the question. It's hard, y'all, because we've seen so much with the man that every word takes you to something else. So I hope that I'm helping.
You absolutely are. You're doing a fantastic job. I hope you can tell by even our faces and how in tune we are with you right now. Thoroughly enjoying this interview. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful, and you've answered already some questions about your intimate relationship with the minister as far as the traveling that we did want to get into. So Allah was on your side the whole time anyway.
Praise God.
So our next question is, oh, I love this. I love this. How do you handle the humanity of the minister without compromising your view of his divinity?
Answer that again, because that's a big one.
How do you
ask it again?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle the humanity of the minister without compromising your view of his divinity?
Well, I could actually reverse that question, because you know, I wrote something, and I didn't write it. You know, the minister's violin playing.
Yes, sir.
Are we familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
And the minister had put the violin down for 40 years. He was a child prodigy, but put it down for 40 years. His final teacher, who remains his teacher today, the woman whose name is Ika August. Ika August is from Indonesia. Light-skinned, but of course you can see that she used to be black-skinned, like most of us. When one of his Jewish teachers, when he wanted to play Beethoven, she said he wouldn't be able to do it, and it would take 10 years, and even then he may not be able to do it. But when this woman, Ika August, heard him, Ika August was the accompanist, violinist, pianist, and manager for Jascha Heifetz, considered the best violinist of the 20th century. Now, they'll all tell you that. You're not going to have an argument with that when it comes to Jascha Heifetz. She was his accompanist, and she was also his manager. And she is the only one with a book about him. That means that she was the accompanist and the manager of the one who was considered the best violinist of the 20th century. I want to get there as fast as I can. So the minister invites her and her husband to dinner. He lets her know what it is that he wants to do. He wants to do Beethoven. Not 10 years from the day, in about 6 months. She agrees. She heard him play, and she thought he was somewhat phenomenal because a lot of what he was doing, he had taught himself. In interviewing her, which you will get at a certain point, and you'll know it when you get it, because this woman who starts an interview when she's asked about a certain aspect of the ministry, she says, well, Brother Sultan, I'm not a spiritual, woman. I'm not spiritual like that. And then after a few questions, not even an hour down the road, the woman is saying, he's the image of God. But she said she wasn't spiritual.
Come on.
What this woman says of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is absolutely phenomenal. Let me see if I can just, because I may not have brought that here. I just want to, I just want to read something from, remember now who this woman is. She gives master classes all over the world. Master class, master call. I thought about that too when I heard that this subject. But I just want to read something to you. She says, this is a part of the interview, to teach and give all of the information to the ministry is one thing, but it is the amazing divine intervention that the minister retains all of that information and was successful in applying that knowledge into the music taught with studious and tenacious discipline through the minister's violin and bow. Do you realize, Brother Sultan, about the amazing amount of discipline and extraordinary amount of determination the minister has had in order for him to be able to spend hours and hours on just merely focusing on what he and I discussed over and over, which is to be able to play the violin as great as he has been able to do was a wonderful feat. But his ability now to create an emotional sentiment in the listeners with his bow on the violin as he desires is the ultimate mastering of the playing the violin as Hafiz told us students. That an artist of the violin must be able to use the bow the way a painter uses his paintbrush, whereby a painter is able to create various degrees, the same color with just one stroke of the brush. Dear listeners, when listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's music recordings, every song on the album, including the ones where he sang, please pay attention to the minister's artistic abilities with his smooth bow control, which enables him to create different emotional, sentimental images in the listeners' minds and souls. The high level of music, of artistic accomplishment on the minister's violin playing can only be achieved if the minister truly understands the messages conveyed by the composers who wrote those violin pieces, and minister's abilities to express his deepest, most intimate sentiments of the human being with his bow enables the listeners to feel the same sentiments. Then she says, further down, and yet because of the minister's great determination and strong will, he succeeded to achieve the level of violin playing that most professional violinists would never be able to achieve. This is from training this man for 6 months with what another teacher said he couldn't get in 10 years.
Allahu
Then
Akbar.
she goes and she talks about what he had learned to do with his left and right hand. Again, the minister had some divine intervention, another divine intervention. I was placed in the minister's musical path's journey in order for the minister to achieve the highest level of violin playing. Now listen to how this non-spiritual woman is talking. I was placed in the minister's musical path's journey in order for the minister to achieve the highest level of violin playing that ever exists in the world of violin playing, taking into consideration, A, the many years that the minister did not touch the instrument, B, the lack of guidance or teaching by a good teacher, the various violin playing techniques and skills which ordinarily requires years and years for anyone to develop those skills and techniques, whether for left or right hand. I have a reason for reading this to you. As the minister's violin teacher, I taught the minister everything that I know, which I learned from the greatest teacher, violinist, and musician in the world, Yasha Hafiz, the minister's longtime hero. It was necessary for me to teach him everything I know so that the minister can at any moment pursue the knowledge and ability of any technical skills needed to execute any musical passages. Most violin teachers anywhere in the world would not teach someone who has not devoted his or her whole entire life to study or playing the violin. When you ask me, brother, whether the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is guided or driven in order for him to accomplish something in this effort, I cannot tell you what this effort stands for in regards to the minister's personal desires. I can definitely tell you from my personal experiences as his violin teacher in the last 10 years, teaching the minister about how to perform every single violin piece, which is now on his music album, that I have also learned a great deal from this extraordinary human being, the one and only Honorable Minister Farrakhan. How blessed I feel to have been associated with this extraordinary man. And because of the opposition she was meeting, oh, you don't come to this without opposition. She even lost some jobs. Oh, you don't, no. You get here because you earn it. She then does this with her last part of her interview. She signs it Dr. Ika August. In all those years, I'd never heard her use doctor. We never even thought about her like that because she had become such a part of us. But when she signed it, Dr. Ika August, that's like saying, God has spoken. Yeah, this is what I think. This is who he is. So she put her name on that. So I'm giving you this to show how do you deal with the humanity and the divinity. You balance it by keep saying to yourself, when you're looking at the black man and woman, you're looking at God. He's trying to show us what and who God is and how we can reach it. I know what she said is true because years ago when I tried to get them to play his Mendelssohn at a station here, I wanted them to put it in a rotation. After she wrote the end of the review that she wrote, I said, well, can you put it in the rotation? She said, no. I said, well, why not? She said, those that are in the rotation, this is all they do. You hear what I just said? She said, those that are in the rotation, this is all they do. This is how they live. This is how they make their money. You know, they're classical artists. But that was a reason for not putting him in. So I knew years ago, Stella, how do you do this, man? I mean, look at, I'm trying. This is also to help to remove the envy or the jealousy from others who may be envious and jealous of their brother. He's doing it for you. He's proving who God is for you. He's doing it for you because he wants you to see yourself in the mirror. And we are the solution to our problem. Yeah, we need a little help. We sure getting a lot of it. We're getting a whole lot.
Yes.
My God, let me go outside and make sure ain't no water out there. There's no fire out there. Oh, yeah. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm sorry.
Don't be
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Don't be sorry. Please don't be sorry. I mean, my goodness, all praise is due to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah. That's right.
On behalf of everybody listening and everybody who will listen to this, inshallah, we want to thank you for sharing that because it's so key. And I'm not gonna get into belaboring and get on a soapbox, but just a few weeks ago, I was actually looking into the effects that playing the violin has on the brain. And I was posting some of the research that I was finding, and with the context that the minister picked up the violin when he was 5 and how it works both sides of the brain and works on memory and articulation and posture, and how all of that fits into the mission that God put on him to carry out. So I thank you for sharing that, because that just did something for me personally. So all praise is due to Allah. Our next question is, you have an article where you actually wrote in the final call. It's titled "The Sun Rises in the West: The Brightness of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan," and this was published September 15th, 2010. And I suggest everybody read the entire interview, but I want to bring up your experience when you witnessed what took place and the significance of it when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where it says, the following interview came more than 11 years after the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan received a very special cloak and staff from the highest spiritual teacher in the Muslim world, the 104-year-old Abuna Sheikh Muhammad Ahmed Al-Mahi, during an arranged meeting between the minister and the Abuna Sheikh in Medina, Saudi Arabia, in January of 1998. So can you tell us what your experience was personally in witnessing that, and also why that is significant, why that meeting is significant for all of us to know?
Wonderful, wonderful question. First of all, we're in Medina. And well, you have the mosque of the Prophet, and the Abuna Sheikh. It had I just didn't know what it meant, you know. We went through this experience where we went to we got a call, and that was a brother and sister, well, a sister who was actually married to a white Muslim from England, I think. And somehow they were involved. I can't remember exactly how, but a request had come to the minister. And so we went. And it's customary. We learned. I mean, you go to see the Abuna Sheikh, and you may end up outside waiting for I don't know how long, you know. Kings, it making different who it was. But when we got there, now it's also tradition, you go into somebody's home in our world, you'll even find it with the Japanese and Chinese too. You know, we have tea. But in the Muslim world, come into someone's home, first you're offered tea. But when we got there, and we don't know what's going on, you know, we're asked to come in and then go upstairs. When we go upstairs, we go to this room on the second floor. It was like it's like a four-story hotel. But everybody in that place was his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. All of it was his family. And so we go up the stairs, and the minister, Brother Akbar, Brother Tajani, the woman and the sister, and the Englishman, they go in. I'm standing, say, if there's a doorway, I'm standing in the doorway, and I'm just, you know, facing the room. And something gets said, and so we all come, beginning with the minister. I don't know if it was the first or second time that the minister went, because he went twice. He beckoned. Well, we're looking at a man who's 104 years old, and we learned that he had just finished doing 10 rakahs. But he had been doing a number of rakahs all night. We're gonna find something out. So he's sitting on his bed. There's a picture we have, and with him and the minister. Even the picture is so strange. But he's sitting on his bed. You walk in the door, his bed is right there to the left. The minister, they're sitting on a couch across from him. We come over and we kneel in front of him, not praying to him. But each of us came, and then I came. You know, I kneeled in front of brother. But I could feel this man. Man, it's something when we're really doing what we're doing. We can build some kind of people. So, but I could feel the man, feel the sincerity, and feel like an aura with it. But he's a very humble man. And he has his elbows on his knees. He's like this. And what was so interesting about the picture is that when the picture was taken, the minister's to the right, and it looked, after you see it, it's as if he was actually bowing or and the minister is sitting and the minister is up, you know. And the picture even looks like he's passing something. But anyway, we do that. We go downstairs. Now they have tea. And I heard something. Please forgive me for just 1 second. I'll give you a call back soon. So I heard the God allowed me to hear it because, you know, that's why I was on the thing, on it so many years. And so I heard something going on upstairs. You know, we just left up there and it sounded like some kind of little clamor, a little argument or something. I didn't know what was going on, but then one of the sons comes down and his son has a cloak and staff. And in that world, students who reach a certain study, they become sheikhs, take a lot of them. And when they do, they'll receive a cloak and a staff. So it's given to the minister, folded, given to the minister. And I don't know, I have to ask him, because I never asked that question. If he was told then, yeah, that it belonged to the Abuna Sheikh. It wasn't a cloak and a staff. It was the Abuna Sheikh's cloak and staff. And I don't know how long that cloak and staff has been in Medina. But one thing is for sure, it's never been outside of Medina.
Go ahead.
So it's passed to him. Minister is so humble. So humble. You know, he didn't understand it, you know. Well, who did? I mean, you know. But the humility of it is that it's like when he received the trays, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Messiah we've been waiting for. Do you know he didn't even know what that tray said? He doesn't pick it up like that. He doesn't see himself like that, you know? Or he didn't. But when you learn who you are, you'll have to struggle to hold yourself down.
Yes, sir.
That's to keep from hurting people. So we leave. He's got it. We leave. We go to the hotel. The minister's sitting down and he's in the lobby and he's asking to Johnny, you know, and to Johnny is saying whatever he knows. And, you know, he just doesn't, you know, he doesn't understand it. But the God has also made me curious about it, very. And I had, maybe an idea about it because really of Brother Jabril and how he helped me so much, to see him. And so this, go to the hotel, it's over, and this is still in my head for 11 years. Then we're in Tripoli at a particular meeting of a particular organization where the minister, who we would say has no country, is second to Gaddafi in this organization, which has 85 countries. Your man. Deputy over 85 countries. Your man. So there's a brother there, his name is Hassan Clark. He comes, he's a translator, translator for us, but he's from America. He's been studying it, speaks fluently Arabic, the whole shot, okay. And when I heard that he did, we were walking back from a meeting, and he says, I said, brother, for a long time, what does a Buna Sheikh mean? He said, it means father of sheikhs. He said, are you talking about your meeting with the Buna Sheikh? I said, what do you know about that? That was 11 years ago at the time. He said, well, brother, I was there. He said, I was a student under that sheikh. And I was under his son, being trained and taught by his son, the one that was very loyal to him. I said, you knew about that? He said, oh, yeah, brother, there was a lot that went down behind that. And he said, because he said the Abdullah Sheikh the next day taught 10 hours on Minister Farrakhan. So he called all the sheikhs together and taught 10 hours on the man you just met. And we went up there for 20 minutes. But he is the same man who said to him when we were up there, I pray for you. And I said, yeah, he said he prays for him 500 times a day. He said, no, he said, I pray for you at least 500 times a day. Even though the man knows the minister. The minister don't know he. Then about the things that happened after that. He said after he met with the minister, that was a Juma that came up on Friday, and so his son comes to get him. Dad, it's about this time for the Juma. He said, okay. He said he comes to get him 3 times. He doesn't go to Juma. He said he never met with anyone else after he met with the minister. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
And then I said, brother, can I interview you? And he allowed me to interview him. And when it was titled, it was The Sun Rising in the West. The sun rises in the west, the brightness of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Then guess what I learned from Imam Sultan, maybe about a year or 2 ago. When I mentioned the sun rises in the west, he said, brother, That was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's last public address. The sun rises in the west. So he always knew who your brother was. And he was always going to make him shine. So he represented him and his mission. And he said, you make my mission known, and, I represent you to the people. And that is what has happened. He has represented him to the people because he represented to us the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And although I never met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'll challenge anybody on the face of the earth on the reality and life and living of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with whatever you think you know.
Yes, sir.
So, man, read the interview. I'm glad you mentioned it, brother, but we need to read it.
Yes, sir.
Not because I interviewed the man, but because of what the man said that God wanted known at the time he chose to make it known. And how wonderful it is when we are a part of making something known or helping to do something, because that's exactly what all of you are born to do. You're born to make a new world. We are making that. It looks rough and it seems rough. And it may not seem like, it's going to be all of that. We look at Sister Ava. We look at Brother Jabril. We look at Mother Tanetta. But are these going to be our trials? As to whether or not he's still alive? Because now we have to face that test. But tell me something. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan went with what he went with. And what did he do? Did he stop? No. But did he stop with reference to teaching what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching and representing him the same way? No, he didn't. Well, if he didn't have the knowledge at that time to do what he did, where the hell is he getting what he's saying today? Where's it coming from? They've spent millions, your FBI, CIA. Did you know they spent millions trying to find Master Fard Muhammad? Millions trying to find where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got what he taught?
Sir.
And why don't they talk about, why is the only thing you all say is, the Honorable Elijah says that he hates white people? Why is that the only thing? Why didn't you say that he taught that the earth weighs 6 in tons, a unit followed by 21 suns?
Come on.
Why didn't you say that he said that there's 196,940,000 square miles of this earth, 57,255,000 square miles of land coming up out of 139,685,000 square miles of water? Why didn't you say he said that? Why didn't you say he said there's 14 million square miles of hills and mountains, 1,910,000 square miles of islands? Why didn't you all say that? If you want people to disbelieve, why don't you just say something like that? Because there are scholars that will know that that's the man, that he had been taught by the man who would come teaching and measuring the waters in his hands. Yeah, why don't they tell that part? Isn't that be the spaceship? No, you say that in a little microsecond and you get away from the subject. But when you allow your so-called ufologists meet, they can meet in DC and it can be publicized. But when we say something about it, they're talking about they got a wheel. We just as silly to follow these people. We just silly as hell. But we're not going to be long because God has come. And boy, we're getting so smart. We get so smart. And I'm telling you, when we look at you all, when we look at you, we know that God has come. And we know that our future is secure. So find your place, every one of you. I don't care if you doubt. Hell, who hasn't doubted something? But if you just hang around a little while, you'll have all your questions answered. And I still got a whole lot more to get answered myself. So I'm going to stay in the classroom. How about you?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Did I answer the question?
Yes.
1000%.
Man, I keep forgetting. Boy, I'm telling you. Boy, you all, I'm really very happy. I'm really very happy. Really very happy when I see you. Really very happy to know that when you've been poisoned. See, that's stuff we don't tell you. We don't want you to get scared. They've been trying to kill this man all over the planet and can't be successful. They try to kill some of us. We're poisoned, this, that. Man, but when you're blessed to get on the other side of that, just try him, man. Just try him. Now, I know I got something coming because you say you can travel with what? Something of fear, diminution of fruits. Huh? Oh, you say you believe you think you'll be left alone and not try? And then he said, well, then the law will know. Wait a minute, I thought he already knew. No, I'm talking you, me. We're the Allah that's got to.
That's right.
Yeah. Then we can, if we get in it now, check this out. This is how you get in and find out where you belong. This is a real good name to have. Because I found myself in the Quran. It said believer.
Yes, sir.
But look, what's the name of the brother who made the sun? Anybody know?
I don't know if we were given the name.
What about the brother? What about whoever made the oak tree? Y'all don't know their names?
I would just say Allah, the originator.
So that's right, brother. They just say we.
That's right.
They just say we, us. Here I am. No, I did that. Sultan Muhammad. That's my name. I want to hear my name. Isn't it wonderful to grow for us if we can do this? Really grow to a point where we're satisfied with just we? Isn't that a beautiful place to be? Just we. And then we just do everything. We competing to outdo each other in good. Man, we can start that now.
Yes, sir.
not to put my name on it. I just want to outdo you in good. What kind of competition? Man, knock this stuff out overnight. Because everybody that I'm looking at, including those that I can't see, is a God. I have told you, ye are gods, children of which one? The Most High. That tells you right there. The levels of God. And when we look for it in each other, minister said one day, he said, if you can only find one atom of good, concentrate on that one atom.
That's right.
Because if you keep telling me I ain't nothing, that's going to work too. It started as an atom. Nigga ain't nothing. Now look at us. Full grown, believing we ain't nothing.
That's right.
And hating every time we see each other make an accomplishment. That's what they did to us. That's what they did to us. We never had jails. We didn't have poverty. What do? You got $60 billion and you drive by hungry people. You think that's going to stay on our earth? I almost said my earth. Is that what you intend to allow? And people are hungry, starving. You wash your hair, it's got benzene in it. Every doggone thing we touch, this enemy has put something in it to affect the poor negatively. So we got to go make some stuff, man, that we can use. That's what we should be busy doing. Not worrying about what Sultan is doing. Go make some stuff that won't burn our hair out. Seep into our scalp and then go to our brain. Alzheimer's and all this stuff that now we're dying from. Let's do some of that. Stop being so critical of each other. And you will find that if we start looking for that God, man, look at the minister, man. One day, we were in another room. We just fat mouthing about our hypocrite. And the minister from the other room, he says, oh, brothers, he just didn't understand. Because if you understood, I wouldn't be a hypocrite, would I? If I understood. So we do what we do out of the ignorance, lack of knowledge. But when I heard him say that, I said, man, as long as he's here, he's going after us. As long as he's here, he's going after us. Why don't we do that for our people too? We get to a certain point sometimes where we call our people niggas. Now, I'm aware of niggerville too. But that applies more to us after we're supposed to have had knowledge. We go back there. But our people are called the dead, the lost sheep. We become arrogant. How do I know? Was one of the main ones. We get a little knowledge. Now everybody else is the dead, the nigger, the this, the that. And then that begins to justify our not doing the work. Because if you can't bow to that brother, that sister, man, in the street, and if you don't feel nothing for them, do you know what it is when you see your women out in the street with baskets? That's a reflection on us as men and as women. You see your brothers out there, and we say we know what's going on. All those that didn't really get an education, don't have anything to offer, and don't know that they're God. Because remember, the minister said at one time, as far as education, don't worry about that. God don't want you with that kind of education. We're getting the kind of education we need. That's why they can't handle you. And don't you ever allow yourself to be handled by someone with a 6-ounce brain when you have a 7.5-ounce brain. That's real. You get psyched out because they put a ceiling there. And he gets to the top of the ceiling and blocks you from getting there. He knows that you get above that ceiling, he can't handle you anymore. It's too late. When you hear that 3-year-old, that 4-year-old say, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, cream of the planetary god of the universe. You ever watch or hear a 3 or 4-year-old recite that in front of your enemy? Do you know they will tremble? They knew their stuff was going to run out. Go to your lessons. Yaqub Dua would last 6,000 years. He's a scientist. And look what it's producing. So be ye perfect. That's what we want to strive for. That's what we want to strive for. That's when we master. That word come again. That's where we master. But under that dude, man, they got us on lockdown. So they're going to come and get us. They're going to do some killing. But he already said how many you don't allow on that. After that, you're going to kill them all. That which does not obey. And which does not obey. Because anyone obeying God gets a shot. I don't care who they are. You know, we always talk about Lord and Master. You Lord and Master, and you Lord and Master over everything. You handle everybody. You got the knowledge to do it. We got it. So handle everybody. Stop getting handled. That's what we have to do. You don't see nobody. I've been all over the world, 72 countries, all that stuff. I ain't never seen nobody handle it. But I've always seen him use humility. Because when you got it, you ain't got to flaunt it. He gonna flaunt it when he come back. He say, I'm gonna kill all my enemies.
Yes.
He comes back. He sure want to be straight then. Lord have mercy.
Sir.
Oh boy.
Oh, praise.
And y'all really, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. Just to look at you all. Just to look at you.
We're happy to have you, sir. I'm so thankful to Allah for you, and I'm so glad that we were able to give you this outlet to share with us so much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and to give us more insight on not just the man that we all love, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, but insight on ourselves and how we should handle each other.
That's
Because
right.
most important, you know.
That's
So all
right.
praise to Allah. Before we begin to close out, I did, because you brought up the picture of the Abuna Sheikh and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Brother Jeremy, are you able to screen share that? Because we wanted everybody to see.
Now that's him on his bed. And do you see the juxtaposition? It looks like is, you know, he's down and the minister is up. And it's just a very beautiful picture to me. Now, I'm going to tell you something else about that picture. If you show that picture in Medina, Mecca, they think we juxtapose that picture.
Mm.
You know why?
Wow.
They said that they don't know that there's supposed to be a picture of the Abuna Sheikh and one of his granddaughters. Other than that, there is no, and he allowed no pictures of himself.
Mm.
So we've had people who thought we put this together, this picture, in that world. Because this man never took a picture with anybody. Except maybe, as they said, it was a daughter or a granddaughter.
Wow.
And many of his family had never even been in that room.
Mm.
But because we were with the minister, we were allowed in the room with him. And the cloak and staff of this Abuna Sheikh is now in Chicago, Illinois, in America.
Yes, sir.
But y'all bad. Y'all just don't know how bad y'all are. Woo-wee.
All praise is due to Allah. This was absolutely phenomenal. The people in the chat and our reviewers are so grateful. Like, the chat is just full of gratitude for everything that you shared with us this evening. We will have the replay for everyone that wasn't able to stay the full time. So we will have the replay, and so we could go back and continue to study. Like myself, I will absolutely go back to this and study it over and over again, as I do all of our interviews with the Master Call, because we hear something and then we think we got it all. Go back. You're going to hear something totally different, then go back again. You're going to hear something totally different. It's like reading the Quran. The wisdom of Allah cannot be exhausted. So again, we thank you so much. And do we have, I feel like it was something. Oh, who was it? I wanted us to quickly play this if Brother Jeremy's able to get it up for us. As Brother Sultan was speaking, it reminded me of a video that Brother Abdul Qiyam just posted up of the minister. If you're able to get to that one, Brother Jeremy, where he said, "Look deeper into one another and find God." It's the very last video that he posted on his Instagram. It is from his last address on his birthday to the European region. So if you're able to get that up, um, and before we go ahead, Brother Javon.
Just put it in the chat, Brother Jeremy, so you can go to the Telegram chat.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Do we have anything else? Is there any closing words that you would like to give us, Brother Sultan?
Well, the only thing that, I can say at this point is thank you so much. And you all don't know what it really means to us to see you, all of you. Those that we see on the screen and those that we see behind the screen. We are the children of God. We are the children of God. And we should get to know each other. Our stories, our histories. And we all are bringing something that the thousands who are about to come through that door need help with your experience of how to overcome the various problems that we have. And some of you, many of you, we who come first, are from among those who have experienced some of everything. Everything. So you are vital to overcoming whatever comes in your way, that you can help those coming after you to do the same, that they can go out and get the others. My best followers are where? Still in the streets.
All praises due to Allah. Brother Jeremy, do you have the video? Yes. Thank you.
And everyone that you have a quarrel with, I don't care who they are and how deep the quarrel is, go back and look again. And look deeper this time. And you find God all up under the fault, all up under the madness. There is God. There is the kingdom. And if you love yourself enough and you know the treasure that lies within you, that same treasure is in the brother and sister sitting beside you that you haven't seen in a while. And I know you're happy to see each other, but man, what I want to see is I want to see you just embrace each other. Do you know today, this is something big happened to me. I came to the National House and Sister Amina was at the door waiting for me.
Yeah.
That was nice. But she ran to me with her hand out. I said, this is different. And I shook her hand and then I embraced her. I hope I didn't squeeze her too much, and I don't want you squeezing each other either, but I'm trying to tell you, that was the biggest surprise.
Yes.
We've been working together for over 30 years.
That's right.
And I have never embraced her. In 30 years, I have shook her hand occasionally.
Right.
But today was different. And I'm saying this to you. If you look again at your brother and your sister, especially the one that you don't like.
That's right.
But did I say something wrong?
That's right.
If you look again at the person that you don't like, go look again and look deeper this time, and you'll find God waiting to embrace you. That's why when Brother Hakeem told me what he wanted to do, he just wanted to gather the fold together and asking no question about where you've been, what you've been doing, and I ain't telling you where I've been and what I've been doing either. But I've been trying to be a good Muslim and keep the program of Elijah Muhammad going. But some of us have gone and had a little nip. I don't know what you call it there, but I know what a little tip or nip mean here. You went by the bar and you wasn't trying to be a lawyer. You went by the bar and went in and hid and had a little drink and whatnot. And then you went to the liquor store and brought a little home and put it under the bed, you know. And you do little things. But I laugh when I look at us in our foolery. But I know what I am looking at.
That's right.
I'm looking at the most priceless and precious jewel of the human family when I look at you. So I want to know more about you, not less.
That's right.
I want to learn from you because each of you, if I studied you, there's a lesson in you for me. So Allah says in the Quran, in everything that Allah created, there's a lesson for man if man would be mindful. So you are the best of his creation. So the lesson that is sitting up inside of you is not just like the lesson of the lion, the lesson of the bee, the lesson of the fly, the lesson of the flea. No. The lesson of the sun, the lesson of the moon, the lesson of the stars. You are that and then some. I am not using hyperbole. This is the real truth of yourself. And everyone that you have a quarrel with, I don't care who they are and how deep the quarrel is, go back and look again. And look deeper this time. And you'll find God all up under the fault, all up under the madness. There is God. There is the kingdom. And if you love yourself enough and you know the treasure that lies within you, that same treasure is in the brother and sister sitting beside you that you haven't seen in a while. And I know you're happy to see each other, but man, what I want to see is I want to see you just embrace each other. Do you know today, this is something big happened to me.
Oh, Brother
I came to the National House.
I was wondering, I said, this sounds a little familiar,
But,
but I thought you were just
we
repeating
were
it.
all, I mean, everybody who was standing there was in awe too. Sister Amina don't show nothing. She don't show nothing. But man, it was really something. It was really big, like you say. And it was a recognition of that wonderful, beautiful, beautiful man of God.
All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. Again, thank you so much. This was a fantastic interview, one of my favorites thus far, just based upon your spirit. And you have the spirit of the minister. I felt like the minister was on here because you have such a beautiful heart. And I appreciate that very, very much. So closing out, we'll go to, as always, our Holy Quran. Brother Javon, do you have the Holy Quran? So when we close out, we always just read a section from the Holy Quran. So Allah has the last say, and then we close out with do we have any announcements? Oh, you can go to the mastercall. Oh, sorry. They wanted me to ask you if you can relay. Is that the word I'm looking for, Brother Javon?
Relay or extend.
Extend. There you go. Extend our greetings to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Tell him that we said Assalamu alaikum on the master call, and that we are striving our best. We are striving our best to do the work. So yes, Assalamu alaikum, beautiful Messiah of ours. You could go to the mastercall.live for all our viewers for our bookmarks for the books, and our t-shirts, where it says on the back of the t-shirt, sin has reduced you to nothing, but God took nothing and used it for his glory. Again, that is on the mastercall.live. That is a quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then you can go purchase our bookmarks as well. Proceeds, a portion of the proceeds for the shirts and the bookmarks go to our number 2 pour goes to our beautiful minister. On Tuesday, we have Brother Demetrius for his You Are Being Called segment, episode 5, self-improvement, the basis for community development. That is again on Tuesday, 6 to 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can get that at the mastercall.live, which will send you to a Zoom link. Of course, tomorrow we have our speaking of self-improvement, the basis for community development. Every Friday is going to your local mosque time. If you're not able to go to your local mosque for our study classes, our self-improvement study class, then you can go to the national one. And the website will have on the Master Call Instagram that you're able to register, and then they'll send you an email so that you can enjoy our self-improvement study guides with the Nation of Islam and abroad. I think that's it, right? And then Saturday, we're back here. We are reading every Tuesday. We're in the Metrics of the Black Man. And Thursday and Saturdays, we are now in Our Savior Has Arrived. We're still early in the books for both of those books, so you're not missing much. And that's it. And thank you, Sister Rachel, for putting the Zoom registration in there for those who want to be on and should be on our self-improvement study guides, basis for community development every Friday. And I think that is now it. Yes? Yes. Okay. So now we'll go into our Holy Quran, and then Brother Javon will close us out in prayer. Again, thank you so much, Brother Sultan.
Thank you.
All right, family. I opened up to Surah 58, the pleading woman. Section 1, safeguarding women's rights.
Go ahead, brother.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Allah indeed has heard the plea of her who pleads with thee about her husband and complains to Allah, and Allah hears the contentions of both of you. Surely Allah is hearing, seeing. Those of you who put away their wives by calling them their mothers, they are not their mothers. None are their mothers, save those who gave them birth. And they utter indeed a hateful word and a lie. And surely Allah is pardoning, forgiving. And those who put away their wives by calling them their mothers, then go back on that which they said, must free a captive before they touch one another. To this you are exhorted, and Allah is aware of what you do. But he who has not the means should fast for 2 months successively before they touch one another. And he who is unable to do so should feed 60 needy ones. That is in order that you may have faith in Allah and his messenger. And these are Allah's limits. And for the disbelievers is a painful chastisement. Surely those who oppose Allah and his messenger will be humbled, as those before them were humbled. And indeed we have revealed clear messages. And for the disbelievers is an abasing chastisement. On the day when Allah will raise them all together, then inform them of what they did. Allah records it while they forget it. And Allah is witness over all things. And that's the end of section 1, safeguarding women's rights, of Surah 58, the pleading woman.
All praises due to Allah. Right before we close out in prayer, dang, it slipped my mind. I was right on it when you was to Brother Sultan. This is your home, so anytime you want to come back to the Master Call to share anything, please do not hesitate to come on back. Please. This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
absolutely your home. So may Allah bless you. May He give you all the peace and any. And I've been saying this to the believers that have had close proximity to Brother Jabril, or any of us who have been affected by our brother's sudden passing. May Allah remove all of the pain and sorrow that we feel and replace it with ease, replace it with peace, replace it with an exceptional amount of joy, and allow us to sleep well at night, knowing that Allah was absolutely pleased with our brother. All praises due to Allah. So that's all. And then let us close out in prayer.
Yes, ma'am. It's your prayer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after hearing thy teaching. Ameen.
And
Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Have a beautiful rest of
Alaikum
your night.
salam.
Love you.
Long.
Salam.